Welcome back to All Things Baseball podcast. We just finished filming episode 13. We did our interview with Francisco Matos. He was my former hitting instructor. I've known him since
Since you're 9?
Yeah, since I was 9.
Yeah, 16 years.
16 years, yeah, wow. It was a great interview. He was awesome.
We
learned so much.
We learned so much. We know him, but we just learned so much about his journey from being a kid in the Dominican Republic and how he kind of navigated getting, to professional baseball in the major leagues and coaching, and he's got some great opinions. But you could just see the passion he has for baseball, which is so cool.
I mean, we learned a lot about his career also as a coach, and he's a hitting instructor now still, and I think that's just amazing. It just lightened up my face and brought a smile to me when I heard he was still giving hitting lessons, and so it was an awesome interview. So with that, we'll go to Francisco Matos. Cue the intro music.
Hey, welcome to All Things Baseball podcast. This is episode 13. We're here with Francisco Matos. We've known Francisco for 16 years now, and we've done camps together. We worked together. You worked with Johnny for a long time, and we just want to kind of learn more about your journey in baseball. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah. So take us back to the beginning for you of baseball in the Dominican Republic. What was that like? Your upbringing. How'd you get started in it? Take us back. Very beginning.
Well, it was fun and it was tough and rough. Yeah. It was fun because I was doing what I love to do, and I was rough because of the condition. It was tough because we grew up over there with not having anything. I remember going to the baseball field with no shoes, no gloves, nothing. But then you have the love of the game and, the desire to one day become a professional baseball player. And so that's how I started. I mean, it's playing in that one small town in Dominican. And it was tough, like I said early, but it was fun. And, we love enjoy getting together every Sunday and play doubleheader with a different city, and that was fun.
Was it like organized like a little league, or was it more sandlot, or like what was it in the early stages when you started? Was it just you and your friends getting together in the little town, or was it more okay? We're going to get organized and play other towns right away.
Yeah, it was more like that. I mean, I remember like in my town, they always had a young team, like they have 14U, 13U here,
right.
And then you got the older guys over there, and they call it amateur baseball.
Right.
I remember playing when I was like 14 years old, playing with the older guy. So basically, that's what we used to do over there. We used to invite a different town and play like a doubleheader. We play like a game in the morning, and then we fit the team. And then we go and play another game in the afternoon.
That's great. You mentioned playing older guys. I did that when I was younger. When I was 14, I would play against 16-year-olds. We're coaching a 15U team now. And what I like about our guys is they're not afraid to play 16U, teams. But I've seen some guys get really like, we don't want to get beaten badly by an older team. But you found that very helpful to play against better competition, I'm sure.
Of course. I mean, like I say, in my hometown, we never had any pitching. So we always had to, get pitchers from different towns, especially because we started playing like it was a league. It was like amateur league where you got to play in the big city in Aswa. And I remember as a 15-year-old kid playing with the older guy. And I remember my first year when I was playing amateur baseball in a tournament. They brought some pitcher, like I said earlier, but they also brought a second baseman. So they were not even playing me because I remember getting like a pinch hit at bat every now and then. And every time I get a pinch hit at bat, I always hit a double.
Right.
And then so all the fans from my hometown was kind of, and then the second baseman that we brought from a different town to play with us, he was not doing anything hitting wise.
And he was older.
He was older,
right?
Yeah. Wow, yeah. But then all the fans in my town, it was kind of like they wanted the manager to play me,
right?
But the problem was that if they benched the other guy, and then the pitcher was going to leave because we brought the pitching from different town,
right,
to play with us along with the second baseman.
Okay. But it fueled you. It must have fueled you. If you got a hit, like when you got in there, you were probably like, okay, I'm going to show them.
Oh, yeah. Like I say, it was in my own town, just playing with my own town. And we used to play in that tournament. We used to play different town. And the tournament was in the big city. See,
okay.
I grew up in a small town. And then the tournament was in the big city. And they had a team out of the big city. And they also had some team from different towns.
Right.
So we had that big tournament in that big city. So as a 15-year-old kid, it was, I was excited. But then that was the first year that our town got to play in that big tournament. And the following year, I was a regular player.
Okay.
So I played for 2 years amateur baseball in my own town.
Right. Oh, that must have been fun.
Yeah.
I mean, so that gets you 2 years, so you're 15, 16. When did you kind of realize, I know you wanted to play probably professional baseball from much younger, but when did you realize, like, okay, this could happen? I've got people maybe looking at me, or, there's a path here. How did that transpire, where there was a path for you to get to the, professional here in the U.S.?
Yeah. Well, when I say early about tough and rough, it was because back in the day, it's different than what it is today in Dominican. Back in the day, in my little town, it was just like, we had one guy that was professional. It was a cousin of mine that he was signed as a professional. He didn't make it that far. But then there was no scout. They used to go to my small town to like now.
Right.
They got a little academy in my town now. So a scout would come and watch the kid.
Right.
For me, it was like I had to leave my town, and I went to a different part of the country to play amateur baseball so people can see me.
Okay, wow. So you needed eyeballs on you because your town wasn't really where they were going. So So how far away was it?
Well, it was in the north part of Santo Dominican Republic, which is from my hometown. It was probably about three and a half hours away.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a big sacrifice going from where you were and making saying goodbye to some people, and you're not going to see them as much because you already had like bigger dreams kind of push forward for what you wanted to do. Was that pretty tough, like to make that decision and going over? Yeah, well, it's for me, I remember playing, like I said, playing in my hometown. I was really good. I was kind of like I was born as a good hitter, and nobody taught me how to hit. I was just born with it. And I remember sitting one day, and because I enrolled to go to college in Dominican. And I remember one afternoon, one buddy of mine in Stephanie said, are you crazy? Okay.
You just dedicate yourself 2 or 3 months. If they didn't sign you, so nobody signed you, and then you can go to college. And that's when I went, because I did try out with Pittsburgh for the first time, and obviously I did everything right, but I was too slow for a guy that weighed about 150, So I needed to get better with my speed. And that's why Pittsburgh, that was the organization that I tried with, they sent me all the way to the town. The town name is Mao. And that's what I started working with my speed, and I started playing over there. And I was too far away, but I was doing what I wanted to do, and I wanted to get better. And that was, and so it was fun. It was fun. It was worth it.
So the hitting came natural. That's interesting. So what about the fielding? Like, you were a shortstop. Were your hands natural in terms of, or did you have to really work on the skills and the fundamentals of, because shortstop's such a hard position. Yeah. How did you get all that skill? We were working today with our team, and we had a couple of shortstops. They were having a really hard time with, obviously the charging, the play to the forehand, the backhand, knowing when to, throw off one foot, when to set the feet. How did you learn all that?
Well, honestly, I learned all of that as a professional player. because once again, playing in the town back then, I didn't have no instruction.
Right. Okay.
I didn't have nobody to taught me how to hit. I didn't have nobody how to taught me how to field ground ball.
Right.
One time, one guy that was what you call Buscone over there, a guy that always looking for talents and stuff. The only thing that he taught me one day, hey, I'm watching you playing shortstop. Just don't put your hands in your knee. And that's it. He don't want me to get my name. But then every time, and that's the difference. That's why you see how much the talent is coming out of Dominican right now.
Yeah.
It's because you got academy kids over there, 12 years old. They're in academy. They're teaching them how to hit. They're teaching them how to field ground balls.
Right.
See, I was not knowing, and that's the reason why I didn't play a lot in the big league, because I was not known for my glove. But I was not bad. I was decent.
Right.
But I was never. I learned all that when I was already
when you were there, yeah.
Professional guys doing instruction. With infield instruction with Oakland.
Wow, that's interesting. I wouldn't have guessed that. Yeah. But you were playing in the 80s in the Dominican Republic, so it's just changed so much in the last 20 some odd years that they have these academies and scouts and all that. So you went over to the bigger city, and Pittsburgh scouted you. When did you actually sign? Like, how old were you when you signed?
Well, when Pittsburgh sent me when I tried out with Pittsburgh, I ran 7.4 in a 60-yard. So I remember one of the coaches over there, and I play against their professional pitchers, guys that were already pitching over here in the state.
Right.
And I remember going like hitting good, everything good. And I remember one instructor say, "Listen, they're gonna keep me in the academy there with Pittsburgh. The only thing that you need is work. You 150 pounds, and all you need is work." And I remember after a long day, 3:00 in the afternoon, after we were done every practice, him taking me to center field, and I had to do some, pushing the wall and all that stuff.
Right.
And I did, so I ran 7.4. So when I went back to that place to play, and I started working with a guide over there, and we start running, I start, pulling a tire and stuff like that. So when Pittsburgh, I would say that probably was a little bit after a month, they called me. They wanted to see me again. So I went, I tried out with them again. I ran the 60 yards. So I went from 7.4 to 6.9.
Wow.
Within a month.
Within a month, yeah.
So, and they're having a game against the Angels. And I'm facing a guy that was already pitching a ball here. And I went 3 for 5 in that game.
Right. Okay.
Wow.
And
so you turned some heads there.
Yes. And so I was playing in that town there. I already had a guy that was in my ears. Hey,
right.
I want to take you. I take you to Oakland. I bet you they're gonna sign you over there.
Right.
So, but I kind of respected the Pittsburgh scout, which is he's good at scout. Mm-hmm. And so when I did that the second time and he didn't sign me, so I was disappointed. So I went back to the town to Mount, and I played some game, and I saw the guy that was there on my ear, and he said, "Hey, I can take you to Oakland." And I say, "Okay,
yeah,
we can go to Oakland."
Right.
And I remember he said, "Okay, we're gonna meet in Oakland," which is in Santo Domingo,
right,
where Oakland was having their camp,
right,
their place where they practice. So I went over there and tried out with Oakland,
right,
and they signed me the same day. And I remember, because with Oakland, you run 40 yards. So I ran 4.52.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 40 yards, and Oakland signed me.
That's incredible. Wow.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So, okay, so you get signed, and obviously your family must be excited. It's like, okay, you're signed. Did you have any idea what you were getting into? Like, you were coming over to the United States. You just told us off camera that, it was very, very different in some of the cultural things. But did you really have any idea what it was going to be like when you got over here?
No. Well, actually, when I signed I remember my son in April. So everybody, Oakland, and kids are coming over here. They're coming in March. So spring
right.
training, mm-hmm. And they usually for extended spring in June and May. They always send a couple guys. So I had to play in Dominican. I played in the Dominican Summer League that year in '88.
Right.
So in '89, I did good in '88. So in '89, I was one of the top guys to come to the state.
Right.
So yeah, it was different.
Yeah.
But I was ready. Now I mean, you sign as a professional baseball player. It's not just to play in Dominican. You want to come to this country because over here is where the big league is.
Right. Right. Right.
So that's impressive. That's amazing. What were some of the first differences you saw from the ball in Dominican compared to over in the minors? Just
Like
playing,
style or
style.
different types of pitches. Like, yeah, what were some of the differences in the baseball?
Well, baseball is always the same, I mean, but
Got to figure it out,
you got
right?
to figure out.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was tough just because, I mean, you're coming from the country, you're over here, you're on your own, and my English, I didn't speak English. It was tough. I was lucky enough that my first year, obviously, I went straight to because I didn't play rookie ball. I skipped two rookie ball and I skipped low A ball. So
Oh,
Oakland
wow.
sent me all the way to high A ball in
Wow.
'89, which is I was not ready for it.
Right.
And but it was in California, and there's a lot more Spanish speaking people there.
Right.
But I remember struggling with going to a restaurant, and we had a guy that's is Dominican catcher. He's already been in the country for 2 years, so he speaks really good English.
Okay.
So I remember going to a restaurant and ordering food. So I always right behind him. So wherever he ordered, I learned how to say same thing. So I was gonna eat this whatever he ate that day. I was gonna eat the same stuff.
Right.
Okay.
That's probably what we would do if we were going over to the Dominican Republic and say, all right, let's memorize what he just said and order that. Yeah, I could see that being. So, okay. So you skipped over the two levels. You're playing high A. It was difficult. How did you break through? Like, how did you go, okay, I like you said, baseball's baseball. I'm figuring this thing out. I saw I saw a lot of your stats. You hit really, really well professionally. So how did you figure out how to hit professional baseball in the United States?
Yeah. Well, my first year was kind of tough, but I was not supposed to be there. They sent me just because Oakland. The guy that was running the minor league director, he liked me a lot. So I remember hitting a grand slam in spring training. So all of a sudden they kind of got them crazy.
Right.
And there was a shortstop, a Puerto Rican shortstop that was supposed to be playing in Modesto that year, but he was coming out of arm surgery.
Okay.
So he was not ready. So their idea was to send me to Modesto into Medford, which is that like when you sign the draft, would you send into the league?
Right.
More like in June. So they kind of wanted to do that. And I was supposed to go to high rookie ball, but the guy, the shortstop, was already playing, and I already got my stuff back.
Right.
And he hit a pop in the infield, Puerto Rican guy, and he came to the dugout in Modesto, and the dugout was is cement, so he hit the wall and he broke his finger.
Oh.
So I had to stay in high A ball for the whole year, which that year was kind of tough for me. I didn't hit much,
Right.
but I was not ready there. But then the second year, I went back to that league, and I did really well, which is halfway through the season, I was already playing double A.
Double A. Okay.
But going back to what you're saying about the hitting, it was tough for us. It was more like you had to figure out on your own because I didn't have hitting coaches. I didn't have hitting coach in A ball. I didn't have hitting coaches in double A.
Oh.
So, and I was struggling. I mean, when I came here to Huntsville, I was struggling.
Right.
And you on your own. Back then, Oakland was cheap, and a lot of organizations, all they had is like a manager and a pitching coach.
Wow.
Now
that is cheap if they don't.
Yeah, now you get organization. I was coaching there. You got organization with two hitting coaches,
right,
in one team. So.
Right. Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. I did not know that. I mean, yeah, obviously the lot's changed in the minor leagues.
Yep.
All the money they invest in coaching and players and stuff. So you said earlier that you were your natural hitter. So obviously you had to rely on that early. And then you really had to start thinking your way to getting, to be a better professional hitter. So it must have been a tremendous challenge to go, okay, I've always naturally hit. Now I've got to figure out how to hit this really high level pitching. What was the velocity like a lot faster? Was it just the way they painted corners, or did they throw pitches like split fingers that you hadn't seen before? What was it that was probably the most challenging hitting wise to overcome, where you said, okay, once I get through this part and I figure this out, I'll be okay?
Yeah, well, I struggled when I was here with Huntsville. Like I said earlier, we didn't have hitting coaches. I used to have a different style. I used to, coming up with Oakland, and you watching Kenny Lanford, the
Right.
third baseman.
Yeah, I
He
remember.
used to hit with their hands.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
kind of was imitating him as a hitter.
Right.
So I remember getting my hands low here when I was with Huntsville. So the pitcher would throw sinkers in and slider out. So I was you can't get this one if you're looking from this one. Now they get the slider out that way.
Right.
So I struggle, and I finally something. I remember here in '93, halfway through the season, I was hitting 194,
Wow.
and that was like my third year in Huntsville. So I don't know what happened, but something clicked to where I remember for more than a month I hit over 400. So when I went from hitting 170, 194 halfway through the season, and I finished the year here hitting 275.
Wow.
And finally, when I got promoted I graduated from this level, like I said, double A, and in '94, I went to triple A. Now in triple A, we finally have a hitting coach. And I started the season a little slow, but then Mitchell Page, which is he ended up being a hitting coach with St. Louis. He passed away a few years ago, and he made one adjustment with my hands. I used to, like I told you earlier, I used to have my hands here.
Right.
So he taught me, listen, because I got my hands here, so I was making this move from here to there. So he went, you trying to eliminate this move. So he put my hands back here, and he was coaching first base. He told me, I want to make sure that your hands are right behind your back leg. When he did that, I became a 300 hitter from '94 and on.
Wow.
So I finally had a hitting coach, and then make the minor adjustment with my hands, and everything was it's just totally different hitter.
Right. That's fantastic. I mean,
for him, like it simplified everything, and you were just like,
yeah,
he was just putting your hands where you needed to be earlier, and then pitches that were diving in and diving out, you were able to, get in position a little bit earlier and recognize.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, it's eliminating that movement.
Yeah,
that was getting me. So, and that worked for me.
Yeah.
So that will happen when you have a hitting coach. You have somebody. It's like when I was coaching, I used to tell guys, "Hey, you guys are lucky that you got a guy like me, good or bad, but at least and that's another set of eyes is telling you something."
Definitely.
So it's fascinating. You took us from being a boy in your small town to playing with the older guys, going over to the big city, and then getting scouted and coming over, and now you've made it all the way to double A and then triple A. So what was it like going from where you figured that out hitting wise, where you could be a 300 hitter in the minor leagues, to getting your shot in the major leagues? Like, how did that come about? When did you come up? It was 94?
94. Yeah. Well, I was doing well.
Yeah.
I finally was hitting 300 at AAA, and I don't remember who was playing second base with Oakland that year. He got hurt, and I remember I was playing in Tacoma. That was where our AAA was.
Right.
And it was about midnight. And I remember that game I went two for five. And it was midnight, and I get a phone call from the manager. Said, well, I mean, I'm doing good. It's not like they're going to release me.
Right.
And he said, hey, you're going to Oakland tomorrow. And that thing, I was like, okay. And we're talking about it's 4 o'clock in the morning in Dominican. So and then the first thing I did was I called home.
Right.
And I told him about it. But that didn't sink in to me into when I was flying from Seattle to Oakland. When I was about to land in Oakland, it's when I went, wow,
right.
I'm going to the big league.
Right.
And I was a day game. Somebody didn't communicate good with me. And I'm supposed to go from the airport to the ballpark.
Wow.
Because they were playing Boston.
Okay.
And I was supposed to go right away, so I went to the hotel because I think I was supposed to be in the lineup. So I went to some reason I went to the hotel, and all of a sudden they took me to the ballpark. So I got to the ballpark, and the game was already going on.
Oh,
So
wow.
I remember coming in the ninth inning to play defense. A guy that was not supposed to be a great defensive player.
Right.
So Danny Eckersley is closing the game. I'm playing second base. I said, oh my goodness.
Wow.
So it's talking about being nervous.
Yeah, I bet. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So it's funny that back then, obviously, they didn't have the communication stuff that they have today. So they take you to the hotel, and then you got to race over to the game. Yeah, and then you're Dennis Eckersley, was he in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Yeah, Eckersley. Yeah.
Okay, so now you're playing defense behind Dennis Eckersley, Hall of Famer. You didn't get a ground ball, or you did?
No, I didn't.
No ground ball.
I'm glad.
You were glad you didn't get a ground ball, which I don't think anybody, especially under the circumstances that you're starting, you don't get any really, prep for the game. But you're there, and it's memorable.
Yeah.
So you're behind a Hall of Famer, you're playing second, and you must be sitting there going, besides hoping they don't hit it to you because you're not, you're still starstruck. Take us through after that. So now you play the first game, and I know you got 7 hits when you were up with them. When did they insert you in the lineup, and how did that happen?
Well, like I said earlier, I think I was supposed to play that day, but what happened, I didn't. But at least I got in the game.
Right.
My first game, and that was the last game against Boston, and then the Yankees came in town.
Okay.
So my first game was against the Yankees.
Okay.
I remember facing. It was a lefty, Sterling Hickett.
I remember him.
Yeah. And my first at bat was like, I was not a guy that was known for walk a lot.
Right.
Especially signing with Oakland. That was over, on me because I didn't walk a lot. And for my first at bat, I followed up some pitches 3-2, 3-2, and ended up walking my first at bat.
Wow.
Okay.
So, but my first game was against the Yankees, and then played with them a few games. Didn't get any hit. And then the Orioles came in town, didn't get any hit either. And I remember playing, facing Sid Fernandez, and that guy lefty. Every fastball they were throwing here, by the time I swung at the ball, he was
he was very tough.
So as a guy that with no power, and you get to the big league, it's better light. The lights are better. You see the baseball better.
Right.
So they were throwing me high fastball, and I was chasing. I didn't have no power. All I was doing is just hitting lazy fly ball to right field.
Right.
And I was like 0 for 12. So finally, I hit a fly ball to right field, and I'm walking back to the dugout, and then Ricky Henderson is going ready because I was hitting leadoff hitter.
Right.
We got Ricky Henderson. He's going back to bat, and he stopped me and said, "Hey, you need to make things get the ball down on you." Well, my next at bat, I finally did that, and I got my first hit. I got a ground rule double.
Wow.
And I went and said to myself, Ricky, you should have told me that earlier. So here I am. I had a ground rule double.
Right.
We're playing the Orioles, and you got Carl Rickin playing shortstop with the Orioles.
Right.
And now that's your first hit. Ball bounce and go over.
Which field?
It was in the Coliseum in Oakland.
Left field, center?
Left center.
Left center.
Oh,
so you pulled
it. So now you want to get your first baseball.
Right.
So the fan that got the ball, I learned later on from the trainer. The trainer is always the one that sign your baseball. They put your baseball. They put the logo and all that nicely.
Right.
They keep it for you. So I found out later that the fan that got the baseball, he wanted a Carl Rickin autograph bat for that baseball. I said, yeah, right. And so I found out that they gave the fan a bat, a Junior Novoa bat.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my baseball.
You got your baseball.
I got my ball. I got my baseball home.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was fun.
Ground rule double is a great way to start.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously must have smoked it. And what pitch was it? Fastball down?
It was a fastball. And then after that, the next game, I'm facing Jimmy Moyer, which is he pitched in the big league for like 100 years.
Yeah.
And then I got my first at bat. Base it. So basically, I went 7 for my last 16.
Right.
Because I was already getting comfortable. I know because I always, in the minor league, I always kind of started slow.
Right.
But then I always,
right.
when I get it going, I know I was going to hit in the big league.
Right.
But then I'm in Kansas City playing, and I didn't play a lot on turf.
Right.
Coming up. And Chico Lane hit a rocket, playing Kansas City, a rocket to second base to me. And I made an error, but we were losing like 82. It's not like,
right.
like we lost the game for an error.
Right.
So after the game, Tony La Russa calls me into the office and say, "Hey, we're gonna send you down, or they were gonna take me off the roster." And they showed me the video, and all that error. We're gonna send you because of this. Okay. They were gonna send me down to AAA.
Right.
And I'm over there. I'm saying goodbye to the trainer and everybody. And then like 10 or 15 minutes later, Tony La Russa comes and goes, "Hey, come here. We can't send you down because they were gonna take me off the roster, so they were afraid that they were gonna lose me.
Oh, okay.
So they kept me there. So for the last 10 days in the big league, I was not even playing. And they got a guy there that was like a utility guy, a catcher,
right.
And I saw him making 2 errors in one play.
Oh,
and
man.
I'm over there because I make one error, I'm not playing. And I remember, and that's when that strike in '94,
right?
Because you remember that.
No, I definitely.
Well, you do.
I do.
In '94,
Yankees, yeah.
we were playing Seattle, and we're facing Randy Johnson.
Right.
So everybody is on strike already. Our game is the last game. So Randy Johnson's thrown like 99 in the 9th inning.
Right.
And Tony La Russa goes, "Francisco, you hit him 4th in the 9th. I got 250 batting average. I haven't played on taking a bat in 10 days.
Right.
I want to take my 250 average home.
Right.
And now you try to give me a bat against Randy Johnson."
Right.
Okay. So the first batter, Ernie Young, which is play in the big a lot, play here with the Huntsville Star, strike out. Second batter, strike out. He was a Dominican guy that came up with me, Fausto Cruz. And when he was working out to the dugout, and I asked him in Spanish, "What did you see?" So, "Man, I saw that fastball right here. By the time I saw that, it was over here." But the guy's throwing 99.
Yeah,
and he's like 7 feet tall.
I know.
When he throws that fastball, it's like it's hitting you in the face, basically.
Yeah, because he also is so close to the mound. He's this much closer than everybody else. So it's 99, plus it looks like 105.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the next batter, strike out. So they strike him, and I wasn't on their circle. And I was like, thank God. I'm taking my 250 batting average home.
Right. Right. So. Okay. So you didn't get back, and you made the error. Like you said, other people make errors. That's like, to me, seeing your stats and how well you hit. You didn't strike out. You put the ball in play. You're a contact guy. You can play. We talked about this earlier. You can play. You play really all the infield positions.
Yeah.
How did you feel? I mean, did you feel like I'll ever get a shot back up there? You hit well, especially when you consider like any rookie who comes up and starts out. I mean, listen, what's your favorite player on the Orioles? Jackson Holliday, the guy that he came up and what did he go 0 for? No, the guy who went 0 for.
It is Holliday, yeah. Yeah, he was like 0 for 20.
0 for 20 or something.
He's a first round pick.
He's a first round pick. Yeah. So it's not uncommon, right? But tell us kind of the rest of like going back to the minor leagues and continuing to hit well, but waiting for that next chance.
Well, finally when the strike was over, because I stayed in the big league, they never sent me down. So those 52 days of strike, I was in the big league.
Right.
So and then when the strike was the strike was over in the next year in spring training. But when the regular season was over, Oakland took me off the roster. Okay. So I went back to Dominican. I was playing winter baseball over there. Right. That was my second year. And now over there, it's really good baseball in Dominican. But now we're talking about doing the year of the strike to a lot of the big leaguers who's playing in Dominican. So I'm playing in Dominican, and I won the batting title in Dominican. Wow. And I'm talking about I faced Bartolo Colon. I faced a lot of big leaguers over there. Right. And I won the batting title. So now I'm a free agent. I got about 7 different teams after me. Right. And I signed You know who I signed with? Pittsburgh. You know why? Remember that scout?
Right.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was still with Pittsburgh.
Right.
And
so he kept an eye on you
yes,
and saw what you were doing.
So I signed with Pittsburgh '95.
Okay.
And, I went back to AAA. I hit in AAA, and I never got a chance to back to the big league because and that's something that I always told the kids when I was coaching. I'm still telling kids when I'm coaching travel ball. It's like when they label you, like just because of that error that I made, they label me like I was not a good defender.
Right.
And I'm in AAA. And when the scout was talking, or coaches, anybody was talking about me, they always say, "Oh, he's a professional hitter," but his defense was okay.
Right.
And then I'm going to AAA and I'm playing middle infield. I'm hitting 300, and I'm making 5-8 errors a year, but I still didn't get the opportunity just because
Yeah, that's not bad.
people I was afraid to give me a chance, and and also the people that I had ahead of me. Like in '97, I was leading the league in AAA for a long time. I ended up being second in the league. I was with the Orioles.
Right.
But
Yeah.
who was playing second base with the Orioles? Alomar.
Oh, yeah.
In '98, I was with Tampa and the Yankees. And it's just like who I got in the big league.
Yeah.
So, but they never gave me an opportunity. But for me, my mentality was, it's like, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right.
If you don't think I can play, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Right.
And I did that.
You did.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw your stats. We talked about it off camera. You always hit really, really well, and that's such a shame. You told me something years ago, and I don't know if you remember it, but you told it to me, and I thought, wow. I asked you, what would you do differently, or is there a path you would have taken? And you said, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said, if I had known about playing in Korea or overseas, where you could, some of the players of your caliber, professional great hitters, were making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. You could have gone over there. It wasn't a long conversation, but I remember you saying, I might have done that. I might have gone there. Tell me a little bit about that thought. Is that a regret? Like you were like, I really should have done that. And maybe they would see I did that and then come back to the major leagues, or tell me about that.
Yeah, well, back then it was Korea was in it, but it was just starting.
Right.
But Taiwan.
Okay.
Because I remember when I was a free agent, that was a scout. They wanted me to take me to Taiwan.
Right.
And they were offering a lot of money.
Right.
Because over there, you play some day, but you still on the roster. They're gonna pay you for the whole year.
Right.
But then I was still young.
Right.
And I just coming out of winning a batting title in one of the better winter league in Dominican.
Right.
And baseball is Dominican. And I have a bunch of organization after me.
After you, yeah.
So I wanted to take another chance to go to AAA. But yes, looking back,
it's hard to.
I wish I would have went to Taiwan then, because it was a lot of people that I was playing with in Dominican.
Right.
That were playing in Taiwan, and even some of my teammates over there, they want to take me over there.
Right.
But it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. But yeah, I remember you saying that. We probably talked about Korea and Taiwan, but I may have just focused on Korea. But yeah, I mean, they paid good money. One of the guys that's in town, do you know Stinson? Daniel Stinson? Is that his name?
Josh Stinson.
Josh Stinson.
Yeah.
Do you know Josh?
I don't know him personally.
Josh played for the Orioles and the Mets, and for maybe 3-4 seasons.
Yeah. Yep.
And he got dropped, and then he went over to Korea. And he pitched over there, and they gave him a shot in his shoulder,
Wow.
and he never recovered. Like he had an arm problem. He wanted to keep pitching. Josh, if I have that wrong, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure that's what you told me. I remember him telling me that I think the shot, like the guy who administered it, just did it wrong.
Yeah,
went in his bone or something. But I do remember him saying that he was able to go over there and make some pretty good money, and then I think because he just couldn't get his arm back, he couldn't play. Johnny caught him. When he was a freshman.
I don't know if "caught's" the right word.
So we'll tell you the story. So Johnny's a freshman, and he's trying to make his way back. So if you're a freshman, this would have been 2000. You graduated in 2017?
14.
This would have been 2014?
It was like a rainy day. We were in the indoor facility, and our coach Mose at the time, he we were just finishing up practice, and I was the only one who had brought my gear into the facility. There was like a small 1-lane mound in there, and Josh Stinson showed up, and he was looking to get in like just a quick bullpen, just work on some stuff, throw some pitches, maybe like a 20 to 30 pitch bullpen. And so me being the 14-year-old catcher, I was just making varsity. I just wanted to just do anything just to get on the field. So I would stay later, and Coach Mosley had asked me, he's like, "Can you mind catching Josh Stinson?" And I didn't really know anything. Like I didn't know.
This is before he went to Korea, so he was still trying to get back to the major leagues.
He mentioned he played in the major leagues, and he was looking to work on some stuff. And he was like, he throws pretty good. You mind catching him? I was like, okay, I'll see what I can do. And I met him, and I shook his hand, and he was telling me what he threw. He was like cutter, sinker, a slider. Well, he's like, I'm only going to throw about 70-60% today. I just wanted to lose him out. And I think I caught probably like half of the balls he threw. The cutters would.
You were all right with the fastball, you told me. He's like, he would put it right.
He put it right where my mitt was at.
When he came home, he's like, I caught a major leaguer. And he goes, caught? Maybe I tried. Yeah, he goes, fastball was easy. I put the glove down. He'd hit it every time. I didn't have to worry about it. Some of the guys he played with, were still spiking the ball.
Yeah.
And then he said, I remember when you told me about the cutter. I laughed so hard. You're like, yeah. He said, I'm going to throw a cutter. And he's like, I'm like, what? Where'd that go? And I could barely get a glove on it. And Stinson's and John's thinking that's like a world class major league cutter. And he's like, yeah, I don't really throw that. And it's like,
I remember him saying that. But man, that was a trip. That was funny.
We had a lot of laughs over that. But anyway, I thought of him because he played in Korea. And I know when you mentioned that to me, a while back, that I thought, so now you're still hitting well, and you're getting to the point where you're not really going to get the chance that you want. You told me earlier that, okay, when I started to figure out like I'll let you tell the kind of how you winded down your playing career before you went into coaching.
Yeah, and I think with Korea, they never pursued me because I was basically the same type of player like the Korean players are. So usually they're always looking for good arms or guy that can hit home runs.
Oh,
I know now that guys that play in AAA ball up and down, they get an opportunity and they go to Korea and they're making a lot of money over there, which is good. But for me, I mean, I played AAA baseball until about 2000, and I knew that I was doing everything I can, and I knew I was not going to get an opportunity to go back to the big league, and I had nothing to prove in AAA. So I remember, and then I played in independently baseball. I went to Mexico too in 2002, I think, but then it didn't work out well over there because they got me. I'm a second baseman. They want me to play third base, and that field was not very good. I was not.
You didn't like it.
Every time that I played third base, I either didn't do anything good. I probably was not a very good defender there, but I didn't hit because I was so concerned about worrying about my defense and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it didn't work out. But I played, my last 4 years in independent league baseball, and then I remember 1 year here over 400.
I saw that. I'm looking at it and I'm going, wow, you hit over 400, and your last season, Brock, you hit 359, I think.
359.
359.
And not only that year, and I was crazy because a year that I hit 400, I went 125, 130 something plate appearance without striking out.
Wow.
And there was only 6 teams in the league, so you got 3 teams in each division.
Right.
So every team, every pitcher wanted to strike me out.
Right.
And every time, and I'm glad they finally strike out because I was already putting a lot of pressure on me.
Right.
It was mentally killing me.
Right.
Because every time I got 2 strikes, everybody wanted to strike me out.
Right.
And I remember my first strikeout after 125 at bat, not plate appearance, at bat. I already faced a guy. I remember facing a guy like 15 times, a little lefty. I got like 14 hit. He only got me out once.
Wow.
And in that at bat, we were playing in Columbus, New York. and I already had a single and I hit a home run. And then in my third at bat, I knew I was usually a guy that when I get my pitches, I didn't miss it. When I started following my pitches up, I knew I was going to be in trouble.
Right.
So he threw me some fastball, and I followed up, and I said, inside of me, I think this is going to happen.
Right.
So he threw me a high fastball, so I threw it. I got a standing ovation from, and I was playing their field. Standing ovation for the team.
Oh,
Wow.
My first strikeout.
Your first strikeout.
that's incredible.
So,
That's awesome. That's very memorable, and it's good that they honored you that way because they know baseball and they know how hard that is.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't see that. You just don't see that anymore. People going that long.
Yeah, and then like I told you earlier, and then my last year was I was leading the league in hitting again, but I already won 2 batting titles in that league, and
Right.
I was already our team was not gonna go in the playoffs, so I told the guy that I was done.
Right.
I was physically and mentally done.
Right.
So I was ready to move on. So I retired on my own.
You retired on your own terms.
Yeah.
I think that's great, and you led the
That's
league in
amazing.
hitting. So I mean, to me, it's great to do it on your own terms, and you were ready to go. Tell me about your transition to coaching. Was that like immediate? Did you have to think about it? I know that you started a family, but tell me about like how you made the choice to go into coaching.
Well, I was ready. When I say I was mentally ready, done with baseball, but I was ready to actually I was going to stay in baseball because baseball was the only thing that I'd done my whole life, the only thing I know.
Right.
That was 2004, so I remember calling, and I sent my resume to some team in 2005. I didn't get a job in 2005, but I did remember talking to Tony Regan with the Angels. He was a minor league director then, and he told me, well, we got a spot, but we just interviewed one guy that we think that we might hire him, but I'll keep the number. So the next year I sent my stuff, and I was talking with the Giants because pitching coordinator was the guy that was a pitching coach here with Huntsville, and he was my pitching coach in Dominican, pitching coach in AAA, a guy that I know. He was in the organization, so through him, I was talking with them, and I was waiting. Obviously, they interviewed me, and I kind of was waiting for them to hire me. And all out of the blue, during that time that I was waiting, Tony Regan called me. He said, "Hey, remember me? We talked last year. Are
Right.
you available?" I said, "Yes." We got a spot right here. We're looking, and then the hitting coach called me, interviewed me in the phone, and they hired me. 2006.
Wow.
2006. Okay. And when
Well,
that
it was like late 2005.
Right.
So in 2006, that was my first year that I started coaching.
And how did you find the transition? Because you kind of shared with us that you, especially in your early career, you taught yourself how to hit, and then you had someone who helped you, tremendously, put your hands in position to, instead of starting low and like the Carney Langsford that you talked about. Tell me, did you take to the coaching? Did you enjoy it, or was it something you really had to figure out how to make an impact with these younger
Well,
players?
when you get hired, then you're taking, all the stuff that you learn. And like I say, I was a good hitter. I was a professional hitter. I knew how to hit.
Right.
I knew myself as a hitter. I knew what type of hitter, and that's one thing that a hitter need to learn first is just not what somebody else want you to be. Just learn what type of hitter you are.
Yeah.
And I knew what type of hitter I was, and I knew what worked for me.
Right.
But then when you start coaching, you gotta get into what the organization philosophy of hitting is.
Right.
And their hitting coordinator is a guy that he only was there 1 year, and then he went to Seattle to the big league, and then went to Cleveland, which is he was a hitting coach in Cleveland for a long time.
Right.
Wow.
Tyvan Bucklio, and he was huge on lower half.
Right.
So I learned a lot of that stuff with them, but approach and keeping the hands inside the baseball and all that stuff. Back then, it was fun.
Right.
To coach the kid then.
The coach. Yeah, we talked about this too because we worked with Francisco at the camps. He worked with you obviously for a long time. Johnny was a switch hitter at 9, and Francisco started working with Johnny at 9, and so we really would kind of take what you were working with Johnny on, and then we would just, I mean, we hit like almost every day for a period of time, right? Where you were like, okay, what did Francisco tell you? All right, let's do those drills. Let's do that.
To feel comfortable. Yeah, I guess like being a switch hitter for this long, since when you had started teaching me at that time when I was starting to learn, I would say it didn't fully, I guess, get comfortable until like I was about 12, 13, until I could start using it in game. So nowadays, it's for kids trying to learn switch hitting. If I can impart any wisdom that you've imparted upon me, I always start with the basics. Like it's like you're learning from a brand new side. Like you don't know anything. I remember seeing some old videos of us going to the other side, and we would work the one arm drills, and we would just try to find.
You did a lot of side toss, I remember, with Johnny.
Toss, yeah.
And we worked over at Duncan's place.
Yeah.
Off on that was the first time.
I remember that.
That was the first time. Yeah, and I mean, we used to tell Johnny is, I think you told him this, and we just adopted it. It was like, work it. Always make sure you take equal number of reps if you can. Some coaches don't let you, but just try. And then when you're comfortable doing the games, then just do it. Just keep doing it. And what I found with him was, he was stronger righty naturally for sure, but his best and hardest hits were lefty when he really worked on it. He just had to work probably twice as hard
on the flaws that crept back in. But
yeah.
So like I guess like nowadays, like when you are trying to implement a brand new swing for a new hitter for that side, whether they come from left to right or right to left, on their non-dominant side, are there things that have changed over the years now coming from teaching me? Do you find like new things that help a new switch hitter or that wants to be a switch hitter?
Well, actually, I remember those days when we started working with you, and this is something that your dad was the one brought it up about being a switch hitter.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because you being a catcher, it's always nice to hit from the left side. Okay, I think switch hitter normally when we want guys to switch it is because they're either really fast. I don't think fast was you. I don't remember. I don't remember.
No, not for me.
But usually when kids are really fast, that's when you want to kind of make him a switch hitter. For me, I mean, I would say I probably was teaching the same stuff. It's just you have to have a good foundation, and right now I don't. There's sometimes some parents who come with their kids here and want to mess around and stuff like that. And I would say, just like you said earlier, to be a switch hitter, you have to work twice as hard.
Yes. Yeah.
You got to put a lot of work in
Definitely.
on both sides.
I tell the kids that too, because we've got a lot of kids, and we would tell them,
But nowadays, nowadays, it's like back then. Again, the game changed. Because back then, you got guys that can run, hey, Bond, do this, and that. Now, they think everybody's a home run hitter.
Yeah.
They don't teach nobody. Like, if I'm playing the game nowadays, now, the type of hitter that I was then, I would not survive the game nowadays. Because I was inside out type of hitter, stay inside the baseball, not a whole lot of back speed. So the extra velocity, it was not going to be there. Right. Just like watching Arai, same type of hitter. Only that he can manipulate the ball. But I was that same type of hitter, you know? Yeah. And nobody talks about that guy. I mean, that's why you see him going from one organization to the next. Yeah. Just because he doesn't hit the home run. But the guy won 3 straight batting title, Right. He doesn't strike out. I mean, I wish I would have in my team right now, and I wish I had 4 guys like that, and maybe have guys like Tatis and Machado, 2 guys like that, right. And they can hit the home run. But you want to get guys like that. I love watching him hit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's you mentioned that. I know you
the role. Yeah.
You coach still youth now. We do as well, and we know that the local high school, we know that last season the entire program only hit like 4 or 5 home runs, and that's between freshmen JV, and varsity. And so when we see these kids coming to us and they're trying to jack everything, we're like, listen, you're 150 pounds, and their high school field is actually, I said, you're just, the ball's going to get caught if you do connect on it. Yeah. So, put the ball in play hard. You cannot try to be, don't worry about your exit velocity so much. If you go from high school to college, they are looking for guys who are going to be over 90 and 95 for good colleges or high level colleges. But you should be working on hitting the ball. We find that's probably the biggest resistance, is that we're trying to get guys to not swing for the fences and just put the ball in play.
If you and I, like, coming from being a catcher, and I didn't have a ton of speed, but I knew if I wanted to add more power to both sides and get the ball out, I was going to have to get a little bit bigger. I was at the time going into high school, I think I was like 5'10", 170-ish, 180, and it wasn't getting out easily. It was maybe just scraping the wall, and I wanted to transition and get on the field as possible. So I was like, build the speed up just a little bit. I could play a corner outfield position. I could play first, and put on some mass so I could get the ball out.
He ended up being a
catcher.
He ended up being a power guy in college. He hit 11 home runs.
He finally got there, but like you said, like when you have,
because you didn't change your swing.
Exactly. Right.
Right.
I just let the ball fly.
You just got stronger. You got bigger.
Yeah.
And I think nowadays, like he said and you said, like having a kid who doesn't know yet that if you're a leadoff guy and you're trying to get the ball out of the yard and you don't have a lot of speed, there's a lot of intangibles that you got to kind of work back. Like, all right, this is where you're at. Where do you want to be? Like, if you're going to be the power guy, I had to add 20, 25 pounds of mass and change my position on the field just so I could play and get my at-bats in the lineup.
Yeah.
That's a tough conversation, I think, nowadays. How do you address that with some of your youth hitters that come to you and they're looking to be the big power guy, or they're looking to be just a bat in the lineup, like, and they're looking for one thing? And
do you tell them right away, or do you feel like let's just see them and let's just work?
I had the East Coast Sox. I had a kid there, 5'2" player. He has all 5'2", and he's a kid from Tennessee. And last year, he was playing in his high school ball. And his dad brought him to me, and I started hitting. He started hitting with me. But then when I watch him, like, first he took some lessons, and I like the guy that owned the clutch, which is now Italian, but they own the clutch. Sky, he's a scout for the Guardian. So he, I told Sky, I want you to see this kid, and he saw him. Because I don't brag about a lot of, but I can see talent. That kid has all the tools. Yeah. And he was doing okay. And then in my travel team, he was doing great. Good swing. And I knew when he was getting long. And I can see, and I don't blame the kid. It's just like there's some coaches there now, they want everybody to hit home runs. And that kid has the power to do it. And I remember him coming. His dad brought him to me in the offseason. And when I saw his swing, and I told him, your swing sucks right now. I told him straight up, it's not going to work for you.
It's better to be honest.
Yeah.
With an elite hitter
because
like
I already knew the kid.
Yes.
I'll coach him.
Right.
I didn't do a lesson, but I coached him for 2 years,
Right.
And I love the kid. He's a good kid. And I feel bad to see somebody messing with that type of swing, with that talent.
Right.
And then we work on it and trying to get him back to, hey, you got to stay here. You got to stay short. You got to stay in the gap. Home run will come.
Right.
He's just rotational. He's just rotating.
Every
day. He's just doing all that stuff.
Yeah. When you try forcing this.
Yeah, forcing it.
You're
and
in trouble.
And later on, I reached out to his dad because I thought I was going to put like a 16U team together. And I was going to have him with me. Mm-hmm. And his dad said, I'm glad he would love to play with you. And dad texted me, say, thank you for what you did with him. And he was hitting like 240. He was doing good in the struggle. And he ended up hitting over 300 just because we changed his swing. I mean, But at the same time, but like I said earlier, I don't blame the kids.
Right.
Because everywhere they go now, all the coaches are telling them they want to hit home runs.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, tryouts. I see some teams with 7U, 8U having tryout with those kids and getting kids at 8 years old, 7 years old, getting their exit velocity and their bat. It's like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Teach those kids how to hit.
Right.
See, that was the team when I was coming up and when I was coaching. Yep. They used to tell us, which is everything changed now. And they used to tell us, okay, teach those guys how to hit when they're an A-ball rookie. When they get to AA, now we can start incorporating those guys, teach them how to hit some power. But they already have a foundation how to hit. Now it's different. Now it's the opposite. They're trying to teach the kid how to hit home runs, and they don't even know how to hit.
Yeah.
And that's what I have a problem with.
I think it's so true. I think all that stuff trickles down as well because we see it and you see it. Like
it's our most frustrating thing.
It is very
frustrating. Strikeouts, all or nothing.
Yes. Yeah, all or nothing.
All that stuff trickles
and it's mostly
down
nothing because they can't. You can't hit home runs if you're a certain size.
Yeah,
it's just not possible unless you I don't know.
And then you listen to guys like I was watching Rafael Palmeiro talking about in an interview talking about hitting. You listen to guys that were good hitters, know how to hit, hit for power. Those guys was not trying to hit home runs.
Right.
They were trying to hit the ball hard.
Yeah.
They were trying to catch the baseball front, hit the ball hard.
Right.
And that's it. Because to me, you create the angle wherever you make contact with the ball. If you make contact up front, you're going to create the angle.
Right.
But nowadays, when you're trying to do this right here, that's why the high fastball. Yeah. You can't catch up with the high fastball where everybody throws 100 now and you do this stuff.
Right. So. Yeah, it's a great point. Speaking of which, we want to kind of finish this off with some of your favorite players of today. Like when you watch the game, you mentioned off camera, you mentioned that you really get into baseball during playoffs. The regular season is not as exciting for you. But tell me which hitters do you focus on? Which ones do you like the best? And then finally, I'll do this as a two-parter. We talked a little bit about this too. What don't you like about some of the changes of the game? So first, maybe give us an insight into the hitters that you like watching and why, and then where baseball's going.
Well, like I said earlier, I like to watch baseball during the playoff, right? Because everybody is. I mean, every pitch, everything matters. And I'm watching. For me, I'm looking team that have the best approach at the play are winning. You're watching the Mex, what they're doing now. It's fun to watch. I watched last night. You got Wheeler throwing for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Deal for 7 innings.
Yeah.
And then you bring the bullpen, and then you get the Mex just battling at the plate, just grinding a bat with 2 strikes, taking balls all the way, taking balls to the middle. Teams that do that, I love watching that. That to me, that's good hitting. But you got a guy, he's a hitting coach over there with Chavez. He preached that.
Right.
Even though he home runs in the big league a lot, but I can hear him talking about guys trying to hit the ball the other way, take the ball to the middle. I love watching that. I love the team when they do that. The team they do that, they go for it. Yeah. The team they just strike out a lot and hit one home run, they're not going to go for it in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's usually that 1 through 5. Usually if they're good and they're strong, it's usually that 6 through 9. They never really get on board. But the really strong teams, it's usually the 1 through 9. It's like they hit. They're on board.
But, watching hitters, like I say, for me, I like to watch Araya hitting. I like his approach.
Right.
I like his work ethic, what he does, his drills. Now, that doesn't work for everybody, though.
Right.
It works for him. And he's a master on staying inside the baseball. He's a master.
Right.
And for me, I love to see guys like that.
Right, yeah. He's a great one. Yeah. How many batting titles has he won?
Three with 3 different teams. Yeah. That's not easy to do.
It's not easy to do. All right, and then the rules. We talked about that before. We agree on this. We do not like some of the rules. The one in particular is the throwing over to first.
Yeah, yes. To me, I don't get that. It just we were talking about off camera before about in the 80s, late 80s, early 90s when Ricky Henderson was playing, when Oakland was in the playoff, everybody in the world know when Ricky got on base, everybody know that he was going to steal.
Right.
Even the pitcher, he used to throw there 100 times.
Yeah.
And he steals second base.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yes.
I know that now it's taking too long, pitcher throwing too many bases. Like, to me, and you have Ricky Henderson playing the game nowadays, and he'll steal 150 back.
Right.
Easy.
Right.
Because
big leg kicks and can only throw over twice.
You got a pitcher only throwing twice.
Yeah.
You know that by the third time, I said, I'm going to get a bigger lead.
Yeah.
And I'm going. And you also, the bases are bigger.
Right.
So the distance between first base, second base is shorter.
Right.
So that to me is just like, I don't know. I grew up, like, I remember I was in Detroit and I was not playing. And we were losing by 1 run or something. And La Russa, late in the game, make me a pinch run. I was a pinch runner.
Right.
And somebody hit a ground ball to Alan Trammell in second base.
Great.
And I knocked down Whitaker in second base. I slid hard on him and I broke the double play. You know who was the first one in the dugout to shake my hand? It was the pitching coach, Dave Duncan. It was the first one. You don't see that in baseball nowadays.
Right.
Now we're making the guys, I know protecting the guys, making a lot of money. I get that.
Yeah.
But I think in making the kids being soft, my opinion.
We agree with you.
Yeah.
We agree with you. We showed the video of some of the collisions at second base. Hal McRae taking out Willie Randolph in the 70s and 80s. Albert Bell. Some of those, the hard aspect of baseball has been taken out of the game.
And the guy, they all changed it because the guy that knocked down Posey at home plate.
Yeah, that changed a lot.
That later on, I got to coach him in AAA. He signed with the Angels, and I'm a hitting coach in AAA. Cousin, I don't remember his first name, but last name Cousin. It kind of ruined his career.
Right.
Like, that kid was mentally done because of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He knocked down Posey, which is he got Posey out of the season. He was out. And that's the reason why they changed the rule. They call it the Posey rule.
The Posey rule, yeah.
And the guy, I ended up coaching him at AAA.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
How about that? Wow. We learned a lot today.
Yeah.
We learned a lot.
Wow.
I mean, it's amazing, like tapping in. We knew this going into this, tapping into the experience, the knowledge, seeing baseball from all the different levels, seeing it, obviously, the international game. We talked about the Mexican League, which was not a great experience, but it's an experience. Yeah. And then obviously all the things that you did across all the aspects of professional baseball. We're very grateful. We really, this is what when we envisioned this podcast, we just really knew we weren't experts in baseball, but we love baseball. Yeah. And we had a certain knowledge and we enjoy it.
We just try to pick up on stuff as the years progress.
Like
all the times we've spent together. Lessons.
So we thank you. I mean, it's great to learn all these things about you, and you're still coaching. You're still coaching the.
Well, I'm not coaching a team now, but I'm still doing lessons. I say, baseball's the only thing that I known my whole life. So, and I'll be grateful because I'm here talking to you guys today because of baseball.
So if you're good with it, we'll put some contact information for people who want to get in touch with you.
Sure.
And we'll put it in the link. I'm pretty sure we know how to do that.
Yeah, we can do
but we'll put it in there, and then check him out. I mean, he helped Johnny. Johnny played a little bit in college and learned how to switch hit and worked with so many players that over the years that Mike Trout. That's right.
I was like,
a lot of kids that come in here with me and say, they always go and talk to them. They always tell somebody, and they come, did you coach Mike Trout? So, yeah, I coached Mike Trout in AA.
Right.
Yeah, I had him in AA.
That's right.
But look, I enjoy it. I can talk all night about baseball.
Great.
I love it. So
yeah.
I'm glad. I appreciate you guys having me.
Absolutely. We're going to do some other stuff too. We definitely want to do a follow-up with you. We'll figure out the topic. I would definitely want to get your take on, again, more players, teams, playoffs, stuff like that. So thank you.
And I'll share this, so and they can see this interview in Dominican, and they can put a like in Spanish. It doesn't matter.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. Love it. Love it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
That's a wrap.
Yep.
Oh, remember to like and share. Smash that like button. Like and share. It helps up the algorithm or something. more, if you like it, share it, and more people will share it and like it, and then it'll help grow the channel. So please do that. And thanks so much. This was our interview with Francisco Matos.